the Auburn Blitz Podcast, your direct source for all Auburn all the time with Brett Pritchard, Faith Richardson, and Randy Lee.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of the Auburn Blitz Podcast. Glad that you joined us wherever it is that you're joining us and whenever it is that you're joining us. We really appreciate that. Glad to have Jason Caldwell with us to start things this morning. Very busy guy as he gets ready to head out to Lexington. As always, good to see you, Faith. And Jason, man, we'll dive right in this morning. Good to have you. I know you're getting ready to hit the road, brother.
Yeah, it's I just put up a little column this morning about just kind of reminding folks to enjoy this. Auburn's a 1 seed and there's a lot of pressure and all those things, but man, they're in the NCAA tournament again. And for a long time, the younger folks, Brett, kind of maybe take it for granted a little bit.
There's no doubt.
But man, I started kind of writing and thinking back, going, it's kind of what does it look like, and kind of some memories for me and thinking about Auburn basketball, and you need to think about it. It's like, you went from 1988 to 1999 between NCAA tournament appearances, and then you went from 2003 to 2018. So you had stretches of 2 double-digit year stretches without going to an NCAA tournament for Auburn basketball, and now you look and to see what we have, and so. Yeah, there's pressure. Only one team is going to cut down nets from this point moving forward. But, man, just enjoy it because Auburn is relevant in basketball and on a big stage heading into the NCAA tournament. So it's kind of my thoughts going into this week.
I think you bring up a good point, and I'm glad you started there because it's easy to get caught up. Faith and I have talked about this week. Jason, we're tired of breaking down brackets and looking at all these scenarios. At this point in time, you just want to play. But I want to go back and revisit that, like you said, for those youngsters out there, like the one in the middle of the screen right here.
I was going to say, are we talking about me?
Yeah, exactly.
Not you, no. Not specifically, anyway.
Yeah, not specifically. We're going to group her in that group because her era has been spoiled with Auburn basketball. And, Jason, I'll attribute it to you and I growing up with Pat Dye football. Our parents went, you don't know what hell is, going – if you want to experience bad football. Like, we grew up being competitive, being in the hunt, being in the race, winning SEC championships almost every year. And, if we lost a game or two, we would get upset about it. And that's where Pat Dye took the football program. Well, Bruce Pearl, there's Auburn basketball pre-Bruce Pearl and post-Bruce, and then Bruce Pearl. And, you look at what he's done just in the last 7-8 years. We have never seen that in Auburn history. And Auburn, whether we like to say it or not, has perennial been one of the worst programs in the league, basketball-wise. And he took a program that was an afterthought and made it a national competitor on a year-in and year-out basis. And you're right. We get caught up in being the number 1 overall seed and all the hype that goes with that. But he built that program to where it is, and he's recruited and made people believe that you can be a winner at Auburn. So you're right. Take in the moment. Understand that, I know things are changed. Now we have different expectations about this program. We expect to be good every year and to compete and to make the NCAA tournament. But you're right. It wasn't too long ago that we were irrelevant when it came to basketball.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Adding on to that, too, is the way that it's changed so much with the transfer portal and how long and short guys can stay there is we've got to embrace who we have at the moment, and because we don't know how long they're going to be staying.
I agree with that, too. Forever, it was the one and done with the freshman guys. It would come in, Kentucky, North Carolina, Kansas would grab a bunch of fab freshmen, and then they'd be gone. Now the transfer portal's allowed programs like Auburn to be competitive and to jump up there and maybe close the gap. And you've seen these blue bloods, Jason, going off Faith's point right there, kind of come back to the pack a little bit. They're not way above everybody else, and Auburn's been able to utilize that and close the gap.
Yeah, and they've really done it a different way. You've done it by developing transfers. It's not like you've gone out and gone. You haven't signed Cam Ward in football,
Right?
That's not the way this has been done. Walker Kessler was a highly recruited guy, but he wasn't a guy that played a ton at North Carolina, and didn't have that big year. Obviously, Janai Broome was a guy that hardly anybody knew who that guy was, other than a couple of guys. That guy's going to have a chance to be a pretty good player. Nobody ever envisioned this what Janai Broome would be. But part of the reason why this is what Janai Broome is because of the NIL world, because you're able to keep those guys on campus instead of going to play overseas. After 3 years ago, I'm gonna go. So there's been good and bad parts of this. The bad part is that you have 24, 25-year-old guys still play college basketball. I'm not a big fan of that, but I am a fan of guys staying for 4 years and doing some of those things instead of going on and trying to play professional basketball and it not working out. And it's given Auburn a chance to have a different way to develop guys, because right now you're not going to sign like people continue to ask about college basketball recruiting and going, what's going on? You got all these guys late. You're not going to sign 9 high school guys.
No,
you're not going to do it. And you should not do it. I don't care if you get 9 5-star guys. You're still not going to win that way, because you have to have older, experienced guys. And now that's available to you, you got to do it. And it's been one of the biggest things for Auburn is having those guys mix in with young, talented players. And now we see where it's gotten you to this point. Now, how does that mix carry in the NCAA tournament? Probably less of a bench, guard-oriented. Now you're going to need those ultra-talented guys. This is when that comes to the forefront. Tahad Pettiford is the X factor for Auburn basketball in the NCAA tournament, because he's the shot maker. He's the guy that can do those things. I think that's for me, Todd Pettiford, Miles Kelly, those guys, Denver Jones. Janai Broome's going to get his, but how Auburn does from this point moving forward for me will depend a lot on how these guards play the rest of the season.
You talked about not going out and getting a bunch of high school guys and how it's affected recruiting. Rick Pitino came out and pretty much said he may not ever sign another high school guy. Yeah. And Cam Newton talked about that on his podcast several weeks ago, and they were talking about that and talking about how recruiting is affecting high school kids and going from one of those situations and why they're doing that. You go get a guy that's at a mid-major, like you said, go develop them, get Janai Broome. He's improving, gets to Auburn, really becomes a superstar because he grows, he develops. Instead of going, and again, this isn't I'm not grouping every high school kid in this category, but going and getting somebody that is appreciative of the opportunity versus what are you going to give me to get me to come to your place? That right there is the mindset and the difference. And that's why these coaches like Rick Pitino and maybe Bruce Pearl, I'll throw him in there, or any of these veteran coaches are going to start shifting their mindset there, Jason.
Yeah, I mean, even you look at potentially playing Louisville in the second round. You hire a new coach and you go get a bunch of transfers. Arkansas didn't work out for much of the year, but what they did allowed them to even be competitive in year one, because you look at the other side of that. Look at what Rutgers did. Rutgers said, look, we're going to spend our money and go get 2 of the best players in the country. Okay, they did. They got 2 lottery picks, high school players. They went out and got those guys. I don't know. Are they even in the NIT or whatever that tournament is? No, it didn't work out. You get Cooper Flagg, different world, but you also had some guys around him. I mean, they got 3 probably first rounders on that roster, but they also got some veterans, guys to piece. To me, that's the thing I look at it. And I kind of compared in baseball. I probably mentioned this one time before, but in baseball, the question is, how do you get old on the mound? Because it's hard for an 18-year-old to win and pitch against 22 and 23-year-old guys. That's really difficult. I don't care how talented you are. I think the same thing in college basketball is on the interior. I don't know how you're going to win and win successfully if that's what you're depending on, young guys. Cooper Flagg, if he was strictly a post player, would not be doing what he's doing. He's going to do that because he can run the floor. He does all these different things. If you're not old inside, it's really, really difficult to win. And so that's to me where especially the transfer market is. You need a guard or two, but you better go get you some older big men. And that's what now Auburn has that gap that they will have to fill next year. But that's next year. Now you get a chance to watch Janai Broome and Dylan Cardwell and these guys get set for a run, and hopefully it's one that lasts for a while.
Faith, what Jason said about appreciating, or you said about appreciating who you have, and then Jason talking about Janai Broome, you know, every day you and I get on here and we talk about this stuff, and then we blink and a season's over. And you go back, and I've said that 1,800 times about enjoying the moment. I had Coach Pearl on, and we talked about that. And I said, if you had a chance to stop and enjoy the moment, Faith, we're here at the end of this thing. I mean, at max, you got 6 games left, you know, in a great season, one of the best, maybe the best season in Auburn history. It's kind of sad that we get caught up wanting to get to the next game. You said that to me in a text the other day. You're like, it's like we're always trying to get to halftime, always trying to get to the end of the game with a 1-point lead, you know, just trying to have enough to get through that game instead of just stopping and enjoying this team.
Yeah, and again, I can't imagine the pressure that everybody is under when it comes to the team and the staff and everything like that. But I think for me personally, after doing this podcast with you, Brett, I've started to reflect kind of on the season and how it's been going, because we go and we talk about it every single day. And sometimes I have to sit and slow myself down and think that, okay, there's what, 9 seniors on this team, and who knows who's going to come back and who's not for a 5th year or whatever. But I have to even stop myself and think about what they've accomplished this season and how well this season has been for them and how successful they've been. And I can't even think about how the Maui Invitational was so long ago. And
feels like an eternity.
Yep. Right. But that's all part of this season and how well how well they performed there. And so, yeah, I think the season has just flown by at this point, but we keep talking about the finish line, and, you know, we're not fully enjoying each landmark, I guess, that, you know, we get to, of the SEC regular season champs, and then we go to the SEC tournament, we get out, but we're not embracing some of those.
Not soaking it up. Not soaking it up. I think you're right. Jason, that Maui Invitational, like Faith said, feels like 2 years ago. And it was, my Lord, what an accomplishment. You know, to go to that tournament, first of all, for the second time in 5 years, and then to go win the thing. Where were they? We were only the 3rd SEC team to ever win a Maui Invitational, I believe.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, that's the little things that we'll all go back. I know we want to finish the season strong, but that's the things that we'll go back and reflect on and go, man, this team really was something special.
Yeah, no, you're right. And again, like, and the unfortunate part of this is in the short term, the only thing this team's going to be remembered is what happens moving forward.
No doubt.
And that's what we've set up. And it's always kind of been that way in basketball. But I think now, because of the football playoff and because of the money involved and because of the attention, now everything is focused solely on the winner. And obviously from an Auburn perspective, the Final Four, you think about 2019, you're going, man, that was huge. Honestly, for me, I grew up remembering almost who was in every Final Four, who were the teams there, who played there. I can't remember who was there last year other than Alabama and UConn, because I remember obviously those two teams.
Right.
Can't remember it. It's just like football. You don't remember who's in the playoff now. You remember who wins it, and maybe not even who was in the Final Four of those games either. That's the world we live in now. It's unfortunate. Auburn fans will always remember this season, but ultimately it's going to be remembered for what happens now the next few weeks. And I think really the next 4 days. I think if you get to Atlanta,
that's going to make a big difference.
Correct. And so now that's And I honestly think the biggest game potentially for this team, this entire tournament run, whatever run this is obviously get through Alabama State, but Saturday, either Louisville or Creighton, getting to Atlanta, to me, that second game for me is the biggest and most difficult one this team might face.
I want to do a cross comparison. Football, at the end of football season, Ryan Day, believe it or not, was on the hot seat. You talk about expectations, and nobody remembers. He went into that first round playoff game, and everybody was like, if he loses this game, he may be gone. He had just lost to –
He lost about 5 games in his career.
Right, and just lost to Michigan again, which just did not sit well. We know how that's been with Auburn and Alabama in the past. When a coach can do all kind of great things. You can't beat Alabama, we want you gone. Can't beat Auburn, want you gone on the other side. And Ryan Day, literally, you could see the stress in his face, and you could see the stress going in. It's like that guy didn't enjoy any of that run in the playoffs. They win the national title, and at the end of that national championship, I think I told Faith, I said, it looks like he's just glad it's over. And it's like, okay, I got through that. I was able to accomplish what we needed to accomplish. Now I can just take a deep breath. But you're right. I mean, it's where we are in the world of sports. If you don't win it all, if you don't get to the end, you're a disappointment. And it doesn't matter what you've done over the course of 3 or 4 months. It's all about the finished product. And I know that we're a results-oriented society. We want you to finish. We want you to grab the crown, whatever. But that's crazy in the scheme of things, because if Ohio State would have fired Ryan Day, Jason, who in the world? I mean, who's going to go replace a guy that's winning at a clip that he's winning at? I mean, you got to be realistic at some point.
Yeah, and again, it comes down to, again, being able to enjoy the moment. That's the ultimate thing for me, and kind of soak it in. This is a basketball team that's done a bunch of amazing things, and well, like I said, we'll see what happens moving forward. It won't change who they are, what they've accomplished. Obviously, yeah, it'd be disappointing to me, and I think that's fair. I mean, Bruce Pearl said it. I think they would be disappointed if this team doesn't make a run. Now, that's the next thing. You've got to get back to playing that basketball that you're capable of, and they have. And they play difficult teams. Texas A&M's good on the road. Obviously, Alabama's a good basketball team. Tennessee's a good basketball team. You lost to good teams, but Auburn did not play as well as it's capable of in those losses either. And so those two things can be one and the same. Now, how do you get that edge back? Will this do it? Because there's no rhyme or reason to success in the NCAA tournament. There's no rhyme or reason. You can have teams that get hot, like Auburn in 2019, and they can make a run and go all the way to the Final Four. You can have a team that loses in the first round of its conference tournament, and like Alabama did last year in its first game, rather, and make the Final Four. So there's no rhyme or reason. Auburn can flip a switch, but the thing is you're going to have to win a close game at some point. You're going to have to grind one out. This team has done that. But you don't want to do that every game, because sooner or later it's going to bite you. And so can this team get back to, hey, go run away from somebody, rebound, transition, play fast. They've gotten so half-court centric right now that I think they got to get back to being a little bit more explosive. If you want to go cut the nets down, this team's going to have to get back to playing some of that basketball.
Jason, do you like our bracket region?
Honestly, I don't think it's terrible. The Louisville game potentially in Lexington is probably the one you look at. In Louisville is ranked 10th, and they're an 8th seed. But when you look at it, they played 4 SEC teams, lost to all 4. Played Duke twice, lost to them. They beat Clemson twice and North Carolina once. I think those are only 3 wins they have over NCAA tournament teams. And so, resume-wise, they won a bunch of games, and they'll have some fans. But Auburn's going to have a bunch of fans too, I think. So I feel good. Creighton, not a terrible matchup. Ryan Kalkbrenner is a really long, big body guy, but they're not extremely athletic on the perimeter. And so I think that's a decent matchup. In the end, you're going to have to play some good basketball teams.
You think we'll match up with Michigan?
Yeah, I don't know. I think Michigan, UC San Diego is a really interesting team. I watched them play actually a couple times this year. It's an interesting game. You look at Michigan, you look at Michigan State, you look at some of these potential matchups. Obviously, Texas A&M is looming there. I really believe for this Auburn team, back to that original point, I think they needed something for them to kind of poke them a little bit. I think having to play Louisville potentially in Lexington, okay, that pricks your ears a little bit going, okay, you better get ready. Potentially having Texas A&M or playing Trey Donaldson and, a guy that, the big man from Michigan is a guy that was on that Yale team last year that beat you. I think that's good. But I honestly think the biggest thing for this team right now is they shouldn't need any motivation at all. That everybody on this team, even the guys who weren't on this roster last year, I bet you they've heard the word Yale 5,000 times in the last 12 months. And I know I don't want to bring up the V word Virginia, but before that team won a national championship, they lost as a 1 seed to a 16.
Sure did.
And this Auburn team, for me, that's all that needs to be done is go, look, you guys were a team that were on a roll last year, and you lost in the first round to Yale. That Yale team got blown out by San Diego State in game 2. Had no business losing that game. So I think bracket-wise is good, but I think motivation should come from within for this team because people are going to go, hey, look, you lost to Yale last year. Look, you got to play Louisville in Lexington potentially. Oh, man, that Texas A&M team, that's a bad matchup for you. You should be ready to go, and I think they will be.
I think you're right. I don't think there needs to be any outside motivation for this team. They just got to refocus and go play at their highest level, lay it all on the line at this point because there's no tomorrow if you lose. And it's like Dylan Cardwell said the other day. He said, what's your motivation? He goes, to hang out with these guys one more day, to have one more practice, to have one more game because he goes, when he said even at the end, it's going to be tough not being with these guys anymore. And it's like Faith said, this team will look different next year. There'll be some that are back, but you won't ever have this team back together the way it is right now. So Justin said, does Auburn cover tomorrow? 31.5 point spread. Does Auburn win the game? Like, I watched the game last night. I know y'all did too. I was proud of Alabama State, first of all, for scrapping out a win and figuring out how to get that done right there at the very end. But, man, those two teams, if Auburn just comes out and plays with any type of mojo, that one shouldn't be close, Jason.
Yeah, but I don't know that you win by that many. Alabama State's played some SEC teams, and it's been 18-20, something like that. For Auburn, you're like, hey, take care of business, get off the court, and move on. It's in 116, you're going to have a great matchup in this game, no matter what. Alabama State's not very big. Really, the only big man they got 6'10", 190. I mean, looks like a 2-inch taller version of Chad Baker-Mazara. That's probably not going to work out very well with Janai Broome and Dylan Cardwell. We've talked about one guy for a long time. I won't be shocked at all to see Chaney Johnson be 16 to 20 points and 8 to 10 rebounds tomorrow and get that mojo going back. To me, that if I look at this team right now, the one thing, and I don't think it squarely falls on his shoulders, but I think the way Auburn has started playing basketball has impacted him more than anybody because it's become a back to the basket Janai Broome game. And that's Chaney Johnson's game too. But you can't have two of those guys doing it at the same time. And so it's become a Broome. He's in the paint now. And Chaney Johnson didn't really have anywhere to fit. I think you got to get back to spreading the ball, passing it, sharing the basketball, and get Chaney Johnson some of those matchups. And it'd be good to get him going. But, yeah, they're not real big. And so could you win this game by 30-plus? Yeah, but I don't know that you will if you're Bruce Pearl. I think you get out there, get it comfortable, get going, and then rest and get ready for whoever you have to face on Saturday.
Well, moving kind of in a different direction with spring practice and football starting, have you heard anything? Are there any updates that you know?
Not much because they're technically it started yesterday with the first kind of, but I was told, hey, look, these are walkthroughs, basically just to kind of get out there and not even really full team together. It might be a position group here, it might be the offense going out there together, but this is almost the install week for them as they get ready to kind of turn it loose next week. So I think it's more about really learning, getting all the newcomers on the same page, doing all those things together. So haven't heard a bunch of that. But I heard a little bit about a few guys here or there. The newcomers continue to I think do really good things. And so for me, at a really kind of start next Tuesday when you get your eyes on guys and get a chance to see, the quarterbacks. The one guy that I've continued to hear a lot about, obviously, Singleton is the guy that you hear a lot about and coming in at wide receiver and doing the things he's done. I think that's a guy that obviously is going to have an impact for this team when you start to look at, maybe, kind of how this wide receiver group fills out and the things they do. But, man, I'm hearing still a lot about Horatio Fields, and I don't think it's, what you saw last year when you bring in a guy that was really, really good from Penn State. I don't think it's quite that, but I think Horatio Fields is a guy that maybe his talent doesn't match up with his previous numbers at Wake Forest. I think he's a guy that they feel like is faster, can do some things, and I don't know that he brings Keandre Lambert-Smith numbers to this thing, but I do think he's a guy that is intriguing and maybe a little bit forgotten as they get ready for spring.
Jason, before we let you go, because I know you got to get on the road, and we appreciate it so much. Baseball really off to a great start. Again, anytime you can get an opening series win against a team like Vanderbilt, and the way Auburn's getting it done, they're getting it done at the plate and they're getting it done on the mound. And Dre got the freshman of the week honor for in the SEC. Just it seems like a lot of these freshmen are like Bub and some of these guys are really stepping up, been hot to start the year. Then you got Cooper McMurray and some of the veterans that are mixing in. It's a team that I see will get better every week because of their dynamic and the way they're built. You win that series without Ike Irish. What a huge start for Auburn baseball.
Yeah, again, I think it's just about kind of stacking days. That you think about that in terms of football. Sometimes I think it's true in baseball. It's you do what it takes to win this game and then get to the next one. And pitching's always going to be so important, and they're kind of carving out some roles. If Sam Dutton continues to pitch the way he has on Friday nights, then that sets up an entire weekend for you. And so he's done that so far. The freshmen, you mentioned Andres Alvarez, some of these guys. I think Christian Chatterton will didn't have a great outing last weekend, but he's been good so far, kind of finding those roles and doing that. But yeah, Ike Irish, he went without Ike Irish last week. I think the only hit that K. Ballou had was a big one. It was a grand slam, but that was the only hit he had all week. Cooper McMurray had 3, and Derek Fabian had 2 in 4 games.
Right.
3-1 and beat Vandy in a series. And so a lot of options. And obviously going on the road this weekend, and you're on a turf field, going to be a little cold again. How do you respond to that? But so far this team has kind of just gone about its business.
Jason, we really appreciate you, buddy. Every time you're able to jump on with us, you bring a lot to our show. And tell everybody how they can catch up with you and take all of y'all's content in.
Yep, check us out, auburnundercover.com. Follow me on Twitter there, ITAT Jason. But Auburn Undercover YouTube page, have a ton of stuff going on. Nathan King, Philip Marshall in Lexington will be there for practice today. So we'll have practice updates, videos, all those things from Rupp Arena today. And then we'll have full game coverage this weekend from basketball and from baseball as well. So we got, baseball will be in Lexington. So we'll have basketball, baseball double this weekend up there. So a lot going on.
I remember that last year. I think Auburn, when they played, didn't they play Vanderbilt in Nashville during the SEC tournament? And it was kind of right across. And so it's like, all intents are going to get like a 2.0 version of that this time in Lexington. Well, Jason, be safe on the road, brother. We'll be catching up with you later, okay?
Sounds good.
All right, thanks so much. Jason Caldwell with Inside ITA. I still call them Inside the Auburn Tigers. That's Auburn Undercover. They do such a great job. Justin said baseball was losing the close games last year. Nice to see them going the other way this year so far. Yeah, absolutely. We talked about that yesterday a little bit, how, it's one pitch. Vanderbilt's one pitch away from winning the game pretty much on Sunday and winning the series. Guy makes one bad pitch. Faith Cade hits it out of the park. Auburn comes back and gets 3 outs in the ninth inning, and they win the series. That's the small margin of error in this league from you being a winner and being a loser. And I mean, you're that close. You got a great team. Everybody's good, but it's one pitch or it's one error in the field or it's one hit at the right time that determines whether you win a series or not.
Yeah. And I'm with Justin. Bless you. I'm with Justin, how last year it was always the close games that it just slipped right between our fingertips last year. And I'm glad that we've got this winning kind of streak going on, and the confidence, I feel like, is boosted. Like their confidence is being boosted, and it's great seeing the young guys being able to impact
Absolutely.
This team.
No doubt. Let's talk about some of our great partners here on the program. Sensor Green for air that's cool and clean. Call on Sensor Green. They're the carrier experts here in the state and proud supporters of Auburn Athletics and the Auburn Blitz podcast. Scout Program Management. Those guys are the best in the business. Full service construction management firm, helping you get from the pre-planning stage to the finished product. So if you're in the market and you're looking for help and you're looking for a company that's going to handle all of that for you, Scout Program Management is the place to go in Birmingham, Alabama. And then Bunkers right there on West Glen in Auburn. Just reposted something last night. Alan and KJ and Wes and all those guys, I want you to be there for the game tomorrow when Auburn takes on Alabama State. It's going to be the start, hopefully, to a historic run for this Auburn basketball team. Make Bunkers your official home for March Madness. You can go there, catch up with all the games. They'll have all the TVs going. And, when March Madness gets here, you got games going on all the time. So you want to be able to take those in. Go hang out and get some great food, great atmosphere. The 2 bars now that they've got are really, really cool. So go check those out when you have an opportunity. We love Bunkers, Faith, don't we?
Absolutely. We know I love Bunkers.
Definitely love Bunkers and the steak sliders. Also want to talk about Sure Shot. Turkey season is around the corner. I've even got Faith fired up about turkey season now. You got to get fired up about turkey season. I just got some good stuff from Scott that I'll share with everybody before we get off the show. Some specials that are going on at Sure Shot. So make sure you go check them out on Highway 280, 256-329-0080. Your official home for turkey season. And then Oliver Ross, a full service bartending service that will come to you, serve you, whether you got 20 people or whether you have 20,000 people. They will take care of your party, and you'll be the talk of the town because you hired Oliver Ross to come and handle your party. You don't have to be spilling stuff all over the table, making a big old mess. Let them come and handle it, and let everybody talk about how great your party was rather than what a disaster it is with you trying to serve all the drinks and stuff. So anyway, we appreciate all of our partners there. And again, remind me, Faith, before we get off, to talk about some of those specials for Sure Shot, because that's the place to go. I'm excited. I'm ready. Here in a couple weeks, it's time to get it on as far as turkey season's going. All right, getting back to basketball, Alabama State wins last night over St. Francis. It was a pretty good game. Look, I know it's a play-in game. It's a 16 seed, and I probably would not have watched if I knew it wasn't the winner going to be playing Auburn. But Alabama State, kudos to another in-state team, finding a way to – it's their first ever NCAA tournament win, too, so it's historic for them. And they know what's ahead. I mean, if you're in their shoes, you're like, hey, just go play, man. Embrace the opportunity. It happened with Virginia a few years ago when we're hoping and praying it don't happen with us, but that's why you play the game. You know, you got to win to get to the next level in the next game. So Alabama State pulled it out last night. Former Auburn coach there leading Alabama State. His son was a monumental part of them winning the game last night. So big win for them as they move on to play Auburn now on Thursday. That's your reward for winning the play-in game. You get to play the number 1 overall seed.
Yeah, and let alone, 2 days later?
Yeah. Get on a bus from Dayton, Ohio, and drive to Lexington on 2 days and get ready to play the number 1 overall seed. That's why I said it should be a runaway. If Auburn comes out and just does any semblance of what they've been doing majority of the year, this game won't be close. And, I think they'll knock on the door of that 31.5. Now, I think it's hard to cover that many. I remember Auburn playing, like I said, in that first round against Winthrop back in pre-Faith days before you were even born, and winning that game, but just coming out and dominating and running away with it. And, I expect to see – I know I said that in the SEC tournament, and I didn't really get that. I know we scrapped out a win against Ole Miss. But we didn't respond like I thought. We still didn't look like the old Auburn team that we've been watching all year. You come back, this is it. Why are you not playing like your hair is on fire at this point? It's the last hurrah for this group. We said it earlier, at max you got 6 games left in your schedule. And you want to be able to play all 6, but you better take every one of them seriously, and you better handle them like you're toting glass, because that's how fragile your season is.
Yeah, I feel like there's no way that we're this late into the season. It's just, I don't think we, or maybe me personally, took the journey as slowly as I should have, and embraced as much of it as I should have. But now I feel like I'm going to
I think that's human nature. I think we beat ourselves up, but I think we all do that. We in football season, we want to get, next Saturday or the next Saturday. When you're winning, when you're having a good season, you're like, you just want to get through it and accomplish it and to get to the next game. And all of a sudden you're like, well, I didn't stop and take any of that in.
Right. And I feel like too, because the thing is it's also my kind of senior season. You know what I mean? Like, as much as these guys are playing their senior seasons, it's like, it's also, I know I graduated early in December, but this would be my senior semester of basketball. And so it's also, when we were playing football, of course, that's my senior year.
Right.
Of course, that's how we played. But I got to embrace the Texas A&M win, and that moment kind of made up for a lot of the other games for a brief second. But, when I think back to the football season, I remember that specific moment, honestly, a little bit more than some of the other negative ones. Sure. So I want to think about this team and what they've been able to accomplish kind of in the same kind of thought process of maybe going and getting deep into the tournament, because if we go to the Final Four, we're going, and I want to go.
Ain't no doubt.
I want to go, and that'll be, how I remember my senior year. So I don't know. I think it's also taken a toll on me and my thought process and everything. So there's a little bit of that.
It's just taking such an emotional toll on you, Faith. You've aged so much in 2 years.
My roommates too. It's also their senior year. And so we've gone through all 4 years together, and like literally living across Neville Arena. And we would wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning for 11 a.m. games because it was blasting music, shaking our dorm. And then now we're here watching it, and it's half of the time we feel either disappointed or on edge the entire time. And so it really is making me think so much. And then it makes me think about the seniors, all 9 of them, and how some of them definitely
Look,
are coming back.
It's kind of like anything in life. Everything comes to an end eventually,
Right.
and there was a little thing on social media somewhere. It said, you don't remember, when you were playing in the playground with your friends, you didn't know that was the last time you were going to play with your friends on the playground, that your last opportunity. There's things that go through life that you don't really take in. You go, oh man, that was the last time I did that. Well, when you get up older and you get into school and you have things, you go, all right, this is it. I may never play basketball again, or I may never play baseball or lacrosse or football or whatever. And, then if you are able to move on from high school and go play in college, then that's going to end too. And then those few that have an opportunity to go play professional, their career ends as well at some point in time. So everything comes in. You don't know when it's going to happen. So you want to be able to take it all in and be able to reflect. So very special season. We don't want to diminish that at all, but we also do understand what reality is. We've said it a million times that this team and, Duke and Florida now, those teams will be remembered for how they finish, and especially Auburn, because they've been such a dominant team all year in the best conference in the country, and they won it with basically 2 weeks to spare, which was, we all thought it was going to come down to the last game, but, Auburn won it that convincingly. And so now there's high expectations for them to go all the way through. And, if they don't make it all the way, then there's going to be some people that label this team as a disappointment, which is unfair, because they have had a great season. But let's hope they're just not a disappointment. Let's hope they just go out there and kick everybody's ass and win it, and then we'll hang another banner for at least making the Final Four, and would love to just grab the national championship trophy if we're going to go on out to San Antonio. So if we're going to go there, might as well play 2 games, right? Not just one.
Right.
So he said, I worried about the extreme effort required for the constant wins during the season on both ends, the loss of big minutes from Chaney down the stretch, and JP not being able to take the point hurt us late. Yeah, I hate that the JP Pegues thing didn't play out, and he just was not a factor at all. And that was not the plans. I mean, Bruce Pearl went and got JP Pegues to probably be the point guard, and they tried to make him the point guard, and it didn't work. And, we know people get the yips in sports, Faith, whether it be a second baseman can't make a throw to first anymore, or, a golfer just can't make can't hit the ball right anymore with his 7-iron or his pitching wedge, or, somebody's shot, can't find your shot anymore. And then it becomes a mental thing. You see field goal kickers that, get the yips and just can't make a field goal anymore. It's unexplainable sometimes, but it shows you how powerful the mental part of the game is in every sport. And I think he's just, because JP Pegues can play basketball. We saw him. We knew we know what he can do. There's a reason Bruce Pearl went and signed him out of the portal. He was highly sought after by everybody, and he just, for whatever reason, it hadn't worked out. So it's one of those mysteries of sports.
Yeah, and we've talked about how Aiden Holloway and Trey Donaldson, those kind of guys just didn't fit into the offense. And I don't know if that's also part of it or what it is. I don't think Bruce would have gone after him if he didn't think he would. But what we've seen from Denver and Tahad on both sides of their offense and defense, at some point do you get outplayed? Does your mental part become such a huge factor that you just get outplayed because of it? I don't know. I don't know what happens.
I don't think anybody can explain it. I think they tried to help him at points in time in the year to get back. And, I saw a guy that didn't even want to touch the basketball the times he got in there. So it's kind of odd.
Yeah.
All right. Justice said Auburn will have to get past Texas A&M most likely. How confident are y'all about that? I'll let you start. I looked down at this bracket. I think Texas A&M's got to get past Yale first. I mean, we slept on them last year, and that is the most picked, by the way, upset of a 4-13 matchup is Yale. Of course, it's easy to jump on that bandwagon because that happened last year. We were the 4 seed. They were the 13 seed. They beat us. So, and I'm going to be honest with you, Texas A&M, to me, is not as good as that team Auburn had last year. And like Randy said with Wade Taylor, the fourth, he goes missing sometimes. And if he happens to go missing in this game, Texas A&M could be out because Yale knows they're not running from anybody. They proved to the world they can come up with a big win like they did last year. But more than likely, if Texas A&M wins that game, they're going to play Michigan. I know that Jason talked about UC San Diego, and I think everybody's got a challenge and everybody's got to take their opening game serious. But I would think Texas A&M and Michigan would play each other. If it comes down to Auburn, Texas A&M, Faith, I think it's going to be different this time.
I think there's no doubt about it. I think this is going to be our third time seeing them. And I mean, we saw what happened when we played Ole Miss for the third time. Both teams knew each other's offense and how they knew how to shut Janai down with 2 people on him and all the things. But we also know that
did we play them 3 times?
Who?
I mean, just 2 times. I don't think we played them. They only played them. No, Texas A&M.
I said if this is the third time we play them.
Oh, well, I think we've only played them once.
Texas A&M?
Yeah. Did we play them at home?
We played them at Texas A&M, and then we lost to them.
Yeah, we lost to them at Texas A&M.
We played them.
I don't think we played them but once. I think we played them.
Are we sure?
I'm looking at it. Yep, we only played them once.
Oh,
so this will be the
second time.
Yeah, we played Ole Miss 3 times already.
Yeah, we played. Okay, so yeah, it's going to be our. Okay, take it back. It's our second time playing them.
Yeah,
but we know their offense. They know our offense, obviously.
Oh, of course.
But I think that's going to play a huge factor into how well we are able to get past.
Right.
I don't see us losing over.
Well, it's a neutral site. It won't be a 2-day turnaround. It'll be, it's one of those deals where Auburn's going to be a lot more prepared this time, and they're not coming off winning a SEC championship. There's just, all those things, all those elements came into play. And, we still, even the way we went out there, we still had chances to win that game.
Right.
We just played like we didn't want to be there. And again, I'm not using excuses, but that's how we played.
It was what we said, Super Bowl or whatever,
was
for them to win.
And they had lost 4 in a row.
Right. Well, what is this going to be to them now? It's the same thing, because if you lose, you get eliminated. It's the same thing. It's just as important for them as it is for us to win now. So we have to go out there and.
Well, our urgency level will be a lot different than it was when we went to college.
It has to be.
Yeah.
I think we will really know on Thursday, tomorrow.
Yep.
How our urgency and our.
I agree.
Effort is going to be.
It's not about the opponent. Like I keep bringing up, when we played Winthrop that year. I mean, we were the number 1 seed, one of the number 1 seeds in the country, and we just came out and took care of business against a team that was way overmatched. And Auburn's going to overmatch Alabama State. What I don't want to look up and see is there 9 minutes to go in the game, and it's a 6-7 point game.
Right.
And it looks like Auburn's kind of just going through the motions. I want to look up and see in the second half, Auburn's up by 25, and they're just kind of, going through the motions at that point. They're, and the game's way in hand. So
the other part is Reese always says every single time, he's like, it's your last 5, sometimes 5, but most of the time 3 minutes of the first half, where it's like you guys just lock in, and that's where you get to have that big lead going into halftime.
And then coming out in the second half, the first 5 minutes are extremely important.
Right. But then you and I recently have been like, oh my gosh, just get us to halftime. Oh my gosh. Like, it
Right.
doesn't matter if we're up or down, coming out of halftime, we're going to be 0-0. We need to see that team that is locked in the entire 40 minutes of the game.
Totally.
And I think that is probably our biggest setback recently has been
It's intensity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think in final thoughts here, the intensity level of how we play tomorrow is going to be contagious all the way through the tournament. If you come out and look like you're sluggish, then I won't have expectations at all, really. I'll be like, okay, it's going to be a massive struggle to get the next one and then get the next one. But if Auburn comes out hair on fire, rejuvenated, the team that we're wanting to see from earlier in the year, everybody better watch out. But again, it's not about the opponent; it's about you. And I know that's I know cliche that coaches use, but it really shouldn't matter who the opponent is if you're playing up to your max level. And that's really what this is about. Auburn getting back to the Auburn that we know that they can play. And if they play like that, you like their chances, and they can go win it all if they do that.
No doubt.
All right, want to go back real quick, and again, want to thank our sponsors here on the program. We couldn't do it without them. But Scott Watson, our good buddy at Sure Shot, wants everybody prepared for hunting season. Again, got the guns, the ammo, including the Winchester Longbeard, and now carrying the Apex TSS ammo. So if all you turkey hunters know about that, that's the place to go get it. You need the right ammo. Purchase a new Browning firearm and save 10%. Okay. So they've got a Second Amendment sales tax event going on. So you can purchase a Browning firearm and save 10% on that. So make sure you go out and do that. Make sure you go and to Sure Shot. And if you're in the market for a new gun, go check them out. They've got the best selection around. I've bought all my guns from them. Happy with every single one of them. They've got a full selection: Benelli, Beretta, Browning, Franke. You can go all the way down the list for you hunters out there. So got handguns too for protection for all you ladies out there and guys. If you're looking for a handgun, that's the place to go. Scott's an expert on all this stuff. He's going to outfit you, and he's going to sit there and talk to you about firearm safety while you're in the store. So that's very important. You don't just go in there and they try to rush you out with a purchase. They're going to talk to you and talk about how important that is. So how are we doing the hat giveaways? Hugh, you know what? We just hit, I think, let me look and see. We were close. I think we were 2 away this morning from, and I think we're 1 away now. We're at 1999. So let's party like it's 1999, like Prince said. We're about to roll into 2,000 subscribers. Yeah, I've got a bunch of hats I got to give away, and Jerron's is in the mail. So Jerron, let me know when you get that. We'll need to see a picture of that when you get your hat. So yeah, we're going to come up with a way to do that. Hugh, you have my word on that. So, but we've grown so daggum fast. I got left in the dust. So I was sitting there going, hey, when we get to 600, we'll give a hat away. And then I blinked and we were at 1,000. I'm like, oh, crap. Now we're at 2,000, which is a good problem to have. So I'm not going to complain about that. I just got to get to work, Faith.
Absolutely.
Got to get to work. So we'll get that done. So, but appreciate all of our sponsors on the program again: Sense of Green, Scout Program Management, Bunkers, Sure Shot, and Oliver Ross. We couldn't do it without them. And looking forward to some really cool things coming down the line. Talked about, Faith, your new feature that will be starting next week on the front row with Faith. So everybody's going to get to join Faith on the front row. And our first one will be Cooper McMurray with the Auburn baseball program. And boy, he's tearing it up right now. So that's going to be a good one to sit down. And I know you're excited about sitting down talking to him about what it was like to transfer to Auburn and now be here for a couple of years. And, maybe a little bit of outlook on this season, and maybe a little bit dive deep into who Cooper McMurray really is as a person. What does he like to do, outside of baseball? I know they don't have much time to do much of anything during baseball season other than baseball, but what does he like to do when he's not playing baseball, I guess, would be something you'll have to stay tuned, everybody, for on the front row. So looking forward to it. All right, guys, that's going to wrap us up here on this Wednesday. Hope everybody has a wonderful day. We'll be back with you same time, same place. Tomorrow will be game day tomorrow. Auburn in the NCAA tournament as the #1 overall seed gets things started a little after lunch tomorrow against the Alabama State Hornets, the Stinger, the dreaded Stinger. You got to watch out for them. They stung St. Francis last night, so hopefully they won't be stinging us too bad tomorrow. But everybody have a great day and a big
War Eagle.